chances are good love comes back to you, but it doesn't always. And if you give love with the expectation that you're going to get it in return, you're going to be brokenhearted.
Kim Sorrelle, welcome to the show. It's almost past 9:30 a.m. wherever you are. How are you feeling? How are you doing this morning?
I am doing great. Excited for another day, as always. How about you? It's so great to see you.
You are shining. I can tell you, even I told you before we started this conversation, I love the pink. I love your smile. And I love your eyes are sparkling.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Well, you are beautiful. Thank you.
I'm doing amazing, and it's evening here. It's more. That's what I love about podcasting. Even our listeners, it might be 7 a.m. wherever they are, or 10 p.m. So it's beautiful, the time difference and the ability to talk in different countries at different times. Today, what I want to talk about is your book, which is called Love Is. And I want to talk about, first of all, if you can share briefly, what was the inspiration and motivation behind writing a book, and then I'm going to ask you all the questions that I'm so excited to ask.
Sure. Yeah, well, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and 4 months later, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed away 6 weeks after that. And it was a shock. I thought I had my life laid out. I knew what was going to happen. We were going to be these 95-year-old people on rockers on the front porch drinking lemonade. You think you've got your life figured out. And then at 47 years old, he's gone. And I have this whole new life. And it made me question some things about life. And one of them was love. If I was really doing it right, there seems to be this mystery surrounding love. So many people have so many different answers to what love is, or no answers at all. And so I thought, well, I want to make sure I'm doing this life right. And I want to make sure that I know what love is. So I decided to figure it out for myself.
What was the moment or the realization that, do you know when we have the aha moments, when the blood rushes in your cells and your heart starts to beat fast and you're things make sense? Did you have any big realizations, or was it recollection of small realizations?
No, I had a lot of really big ones. There was certainly some small ones, but really big ones, because I dedicated a year to figuring it out. And most of the time I was in Haiti when I was working on it. And I took this 2,000-year-old poem, love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, and decided I would take one word a month and figure out what is love that is patient, what is love that is kind. And there are 14 of those. There are 14 is's and isn'ts of love in that poem. And so it took me a little bit longer than a year. It took me 14 months rather than 12. But every single month, I had a big aha moment. So from the very beginning, love is patient. We think we know what patience is. You're not getting mad if your son loses his shoes and you're trying to get out the door to school, or whatever. You're keeping your cool. But I figured out that you put love is or love is not in front of any word, and it completely changes the meaning. And so the first month I started, and I was looking for it everywhere. Love is patient, love is patient, love is patient. I just had it on my mind and trying to find it. And it wasn't until the end of the month that something big happened in Haiti that led me to realize what love that is patient really is. And when I did, it was oh my word, it made so much sense. So many things can seem so simple and then can be so difficult to figure out. And then when you figure out, you go, oh my word, that makes so much sense. That's so good. And that's what I had month after month after month in this process.
Was there anything that you realized you adopted it and completely changed how you view the world and your relationship, not with only family members, but with everyone, strangers, family members, relatives? Do you have maybe, I'm pretty sure there will have been several like that, but maybe you can share one with us that completely changed you personally.
Yeah, well, from the very beginning. So the very first one, love is patient. When I figured out about that, because I do believe you're supposed to love everybody. Love isn't just between a couple. or a family, but love is for everybody. Love isn't something that you hang up at the door when you get home. You don't put it away in the closet, or you don't put it in the closet when you go to work or wherever you are. Love is, I figured out, not an emotion, fear or excitement. We don't live in fear. We might be afraid at some point, like watch a scary movie and we're afraid for a little while, and that we go to bed that night and you hear every creak and bump and you jump, whatever. But we don't live in that. We're not always in fear or excitement. We're not always at Disney World. We're not always just excited. But love is something you live in. Love is walking, talking, living, giving, breathing. Love is who you are. It's not an emotion. It is who you are. So it's all encompassing. And so love that is patient would say that you love the person you're with, whoever it is, person at the grocery store, your child, your spouse, your neighbor, whoever it is, your coworker. You love them enough that you realize that this is the most important moment of your life. What's in the past is in the past, and what's in the future is yet to come. This is the moment. And so when you realize that and love the person you're with love that is patient, you are fully immersed in the moment. You are fully present. You are fully here. And I'll tell you, this was a difficult one for me. It was the very first one. And then I practiced it, of course, as I was practicing, the next month and the next month, just kind of adding on each month. And this was hard for me because I thought I was the greatest multitasker. Like I could be thinking about a meeting I had later in the day, what I had to pick up at the grocery store, who needed to get to soccer practice, and be fully engaged in the conversation at the same time. And the truth is that is absolutely not true. If you truly love who you're with, which you should, then you are fully, completely present right here. And things change. Like that changed my life because your ears open up and you hear in a whole different way. And instead of making assumptions about what people are going to say because you know them or some label you put on them or whatever, and instead of having your rebuttal ready, you listen. And the things that you hear are different than what you think someone's going to say. And you learn so much. And one of the things you learn is that we have a lot more in common than we are different. But you really hear, and that is showing love that is patient.
I was talking with one of my friends, and he was saying, which stuck with me because I don't fully understand what he said. And I'm eager to hear your opinion about it. He said, you might not be in love with some people, but you might have love for them. What's your opinion about what he said? And if you could explain, if you agree, if you could explain why, and if you don't, also explain why.
Yeah, well, I think love is something for everybody. In love can be an emotional love, an emotional response to love. The butterflies in your stomach,
So is it still love?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it can still be love, but it's more of an emotional response to love rather than love itself. The love is something that is constant. It doesn't go away. So like, often a couple will meet and then you have those feelings and it builds and you can't wait to see them and you can't wait till the phone rings and they call or whatever. And then you move in together and he leaves his underwear on the bathroom floor. And all of a sudden you're going, I don't know if I love this guy or not. Well, you don't love him or not love him because of those little things that he does. You love him for who he is. You love people for who they are. And then we're not the little things we do. We're not the leave the dishes in the sink, or whatever drives anybody crazy. That's not who we are. And it's the who we are that we love. And so the people talk about falling in love, falling out of love. Love is a constant. You don't fall into it. You don't fall out of it. It is just something that should always be there. Something you always have.
Especially when couples start family and have kids. Those small things that we do become so big because we are sleep deprived and tired. And the fights become more and more intense. And I love how you said we are not those small things that we do. We are so much bigger than that. what are some advice, some questions we can ask ourselves, some reminders we can have while we are in this moment? And especially you have 5 kids, so you fully get it. When you are in those beginning phases where you don't feel the love for that person because you are just too tired, how can we just cultivate that love again?
It's interesting. I had that happen early in my marriage where I was married and had a couple babies, and it's so chaotic when that happens, when you're cleaning and cooking and trying to keep a house in order and the kids clean and fed and diapers changed and all of the stuff. It's all so much work and working on top of it or whatever you're doing in life. And I had this moment where that was happening, and my husband would come home from work and he would maybe lay down on the couch, turn on the TV, watch something for a few minutes until dinner was on the table. And then he'd come and eat. Then he'd go back to the couch and watch some more TV, maybe take a nap. And I was thinking, why am I doing this? Do I really need him? What do I need him for? I started to look at him as just a paycheck. Like, why did I need this guy? I mean, he wasn't contributing. I was doing all the work. Would my life really be any different if he wasn't around? That's how I was thinking, and that's how I was feeling. And then I thought, no, you know what? I want a great relationship. I want a great marriage. And so I decided that I would do everything I could to make him happy. Whatever it was, I was going to do everything I could to make him happy. And I didn't put a time limit on it. I didn't say, I'm going to make him happy for 4 weeks. And if he doesn't respond and he doesn't start helping around the house, then he's out of here. I didn't do that. I just decided I was going to make him happy, do everything I could. And so I would go to the grocery store and bring home his favorite treat, make his favorite dinner, write a little note before work, just do little things. And I'll tell you, the most amazing thing happened, because love has this beautiful way of giving back, even though that's not why you love. You don't love to get love in return, because love is just completely up to you, period. It is up to you. But love has this beautiful way of giving back anyway, even though that's not why you love. Love comes back to you. And it did. And our relationship changed dramatically. But the biggest change was me and my heart. My heart softened toward him, and my heart grew in love for him. And from that time on, our marriage was completely changed and a lot different. And I would purposely look at him sometimes and just go, oh my gosh, I am so fortunate to have this wonderful man in my life. And sure, some things will drive you nuts. Sure, there's some little things that you have to let go. Don't hang on to the little things. You realize later in life that the little things don't matter. I lost my husband. I lost him. Do you think I think about the times that he left his socks all over the house or his shoes muddy at the door? No, I could care less about those things. Those things don't matter. The things that matter in life are who the person is. And you can keep that love alive. But it's up to you. It is up to you. You're in control of that love.
I think that's the key. We all have been there where we try, but then it does not work and we stop and we blame whatever circumstance, ourselves, other people. But the way you described it, you didn't put a time limit on it. You were fully committed and you made a decision, as you mentioned. You made a decision and you followed through. So I think that's the key, not to put a time limit on it.
Yeah, I think that is key. I think another big thing about love that is misunderstood is you'll hear that love is a two-way street, or that you give love to get love. But if I gave you money and you gave me a pair of jeans, that's a transaction. If I give you love, expecting you to give me love in return, that's a transaction. And love is not a transaction. Love is a one-way street. You love, period. You give love, period. You don't give love to get love, because then it's not love anymore. Chances are good love comes back to you, but it doesn't always. And if you give love with the expectation that you're going to get it in return, you're going to be brokenhearted. You're going to have a life of misery. But if you give love because you love, because that's who you are, then you're not disappointed, or you're not looking for something that doesn't come back your way. Chances are it will come back your way, but the minute you do it to get something in return, you've kind of blown it. It's like that's the unhappy way to live. The happy way to live and the happy way to love is to just love, period. Because you have no control. I mean, you've got a child. You remember when the baby first comes home from the hospital? You have total control. You decide when they eat. You decide when they take a bath, when they move from this chair to the crib, whatever. That's all on you, right? You have total control. Then 6, 7, 8 months later, that baby starts crawling and your Tupperware is all over your kitchen floor. Your pots and pans are banging everywhere. And you realize that you have lost total control and you will never get it back again. We don't control anybody but ourselves. We only control ourselves. And so to think that we can control somebody else's love it's a fantasy. We don't control anybody else's love. But when you do love, you are so much more lovable. When you love yourself and love other people, you are so much more lovable. And the love will come back. But that's not why you give it.
There are people who say that you become more loving by giving yourself that love first. And there are others who say you become more loving by loving people more. What's your take on it?
Well, I think you have to love yourself first. I think you just have to. In order to love fully, in order to really understand love, you have to love yourself.
What do you mean by loving yourself?
Well, there's women especially, we can be so hard on ourselves, right? Our bodies aren't perfect. Our hair's not, we're having a bad hair day, whatever. We can be hard on ourselves. We can compare ourselves to other women and go, oh, guy, they're prettier than I am, or thinner than I am, or why can't I be more like that? And we can be so hard on ourselves. And we shouldn't be. Think about like the Mona Lisa, that if it went up for auction, I don't even know how many millions and millions of dollars it would get, right? Because it's one of a kind. And so are you. You are one of a kind. There is nobody exactly like you in the world. There never has been, and there never will be. You are one of a kind. You are perfect just the way you are. And when you embrace that and go, okay, this is who I am. This is how I'm made. This is how I look. This is who I am. And you embrace that and you love yourself for your uniqueness, for who you are, and recognize how special you are. Then you can love yourself. Then appreciate the things about yourself instead of constantly criticizing and looking for the fault in yourself. Look for, everybody. If you took pen and paper and you just wrote down 10 of your best qualities, 10 things, just 10, which there's way more than 10, but just 10. Think about it. That's 10 incredible things about you. That's 10 things that separate you from everybody else in the world, that make you special. Everybody has that. We are all unique and we are all special and all worthy of love. And it starts with ourselves. Stop being so hard on yourself. Love yourself. Embrace who you are. Love yourself. Give yourself the freedom to be who you are created to be. Give yourself that freedom. And then when you do, then you can love other people. And you can also give them the freedom to be who they believe they are created to be. So there's no room for judgment or condemnation. There's no room for, gosh, I need to fix people. Or if they only did this, they would be so much better off. No, nobody's walked in your shoes and nobody's walked in their shoes. You need to let yourself be who you are and let other people be who they are created to be, because that's what love would do.
What love means to you personally?
Yeah, I think there is one big answer. So there's, these 14 words and phrases, right? Love is patient, love is kind, all these things. But there is this beautiful umbrella over it all. And really, if it came down to one word in particular, it would be freedom. To love the way you're supposed to love is complete freedom. You are free to just love. It's the only thing you need to do. You don't have to fix people. You don't have to give unsolicited advice. You don't have to be critical of anybody. because love allows the other person to be who they're created to be, right? Love just loves. And with that, it is just so freeing to love that way. It can be so easy to say, well, I love everybody. I love everybody. But those people from whatever country, I don't know about that. Well, then you don't love everybody. Or, in the United States, it's, oh, well, but those Democrats or those Republicans, well, then you don't love everybody. You don't love everybody. Your love does not put labels on people. Labels go away. We are all individuals, period. There may be labels that we have, a title, a job title, a mom, whatever labels kind of that we have. But when it's individual to individual, when it's a person to people, then it's by name, and we're all individuals and we are not our labels. I am a mom and I am a grandmother and I am a writer. I'm a lot of things, but that's not who I am. Who I am is Kim. That is who I am. The love that I give, the peace that I want, the my moral compass, my standards, whatever, that's me. That's me. I'm not, mom is a title, but mom is not who I am.
Makes complete sense.
Yeah. So love is complete freedom. To just love is complete freedom.
My father and my son are just two people who I think they just live the definition of love. And now I get it why. Because my father always, for family members, he just accepts us the way we are. And he was telling me the other day that I am one of the most simplest person on earth. And I thought about it because I'm not a challenging person, but the way that he said I'm the most, I thought like, why? And I think because he understands me. And because he understands me, he accepts me fully. He doesn't want to change me. So he knows who I am. He knows the way I am. So even those things that might be challenging for other people is not challenging for him because he just accepts it as part of me. And I was thinking about it, and now I get it. Like, he just gives me freedom to be myself. So that's why I feel most loved by him. I had a realization right now. Freedom, truly, love is giving someone else freedom to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do when we all had people in our lives? Because people listening might have the impression of like, you should love everyone, you should keep everyone in your life. But there are people who we are not compatible with. We all have had friends who are overly negative, and it just like even being with them is challenging. How do you personally act in those situations? Because there is this amazing book, I think it's called Everybody Always. And it's truly about cultivating the love for everyone, no matter who they are, no matter if they're a criminal or not, and there are beautiful stories. Do you think loving someone means still having a relationship with them and still being able to love them? Do you think that's true love, or should we just love ourselves, send people love, and let them go from our lives?
Yeah, I think there are times for sure you have to let people go from your life, and that doesn't have anything to do with love, or it has everything to do with love, depending. So there are people that can be toxic in your life that are harmful to your existence, not helpful. They don't contribute to your life. They take away from your life. They can be a drain, and you can love people without liking them. So there are people that you're not going to click with, your personalities aren't going to go together, or they can be toxic. And the most loving thing you can do is let them go. Because if you keep people in your life that are harming you physically, mentally, emotionally, draining you, whatever it is, first of all, you're not loving yourself the way you should. Like, love yourself enough to know when you need to cut somebody out of your life. But you're also not loving them the right way, because you are allowing them to continue in a behavior that is not good. And if you really love them, the best thing you can do is walk away and give them space to think about themselves and how they want to love and how they should treat others and how they want to be treated themselves. And so love can play a huge role in that, but different than you think. It's not, I love them, so they have to be a part of my life. They don't have to be a part of your life. If they're not bringing value to your life, if they're not helping you be the best you that you can be, then walk away. You know, the most loving thing you can do is walk away.
You have to just give just one advice. Like if people are listening to you and you only can give one advice, and this is what people absolutely have to know about love, what would it be?
I would say the biggest thing, because the thing that changed love for me, life for me, is realizing that love is mine. Love is who you can be. Love is completely up to me. And when I realized that love is not a transaction, that love is just something you live, something you are to other people, something that you give, then you are just free to be you, but it's without all the disappointment. When you have love wrong, when you think it is something that it's not, and you don't really have a good understanding of what love is, because we all learn love from our parents, our grandparents, whoever influences our life, right? That's how we learn a definition of love. And everything done in the name of love is not necessarily love. And everything said in the name of love is not necessarily love. Not everything we've been taught about love is right. And when you can shift your thinking and put what you think you know about love aside and really see it as something that is up to you, something you can be, something you are, something that is universal, but completely yours at the same time, then you do have that freedom. Then love looks like it opens your eyes to see people in a whole different way. When you can see people through the eyes of love, through those lenses, then you see the beauty in everyone's uniqueness. Then you see the excitement of allowing people to have their own opinion. Like different opinions are fine. Love doesn't only go with one opinion. Love would say, you can have whatever opinion you have. People can have different opinions. That's fine. You can have different opinions and still love somebody. And so you realize that love is not something that comes and goes. It's not something that you take away because of actions, but it's something that is constantly there, that is always there. You don't take away. It doesn't leave. It's something that is 100% a part of you always. And you can separate then the actions from the love and just love.
We all meet challenging people sometimes. Do you have any process, meditation, mantra, where you just bring yourself back and you just cultivate love again? Because we all have those moments when we almost get disconnected from ourselves or from that love within us, from the light. Anything that you do personally to, like, as a daily reminder to be love?
Well, I think the more you practice real love, the more natural it becomes. But one thing that I do is when somebody says something that, you know, you go, what are they saying? Or, you know, does something that you're thinking, why are they doing that? I bring myself back to a point of they're the only one that has walked in their shoes. I don't know what they've been through in life. I don't know of everything that they've been through in life. And our reactions, the things we say, the things we do, have a lot to do with every day we've lived up until today. And so to give people grace and go, wow, you know, maybe they're having a hard day. I mean, who hasn't been in a position where you've had a hard day? I remember years ago, my mom passed away, and it was horrible. She died by suicide, which is the worst way in the world to leave people. And I was in a fog, and I was in the grocery store. I went to the grocery store, and I saw all these people around me just living their lives. Like they had no idea what my pain felt like. They had no idea this dark spot that I was in. They had no idea. And I didn't know how to react to that. because I felt like everyone should feel my pain. Not because I wanted everyone to be in pain, but because I was so steeped in this pain that it just felt like, how can life go on? How can everybody else just go on and be so happy? Well, you don't know when you're in the grocery store that you're running into the me that was then. You don't know what people have gone through, what they're going through right now, what has happened in their day, their week, their month, their year, that is why they're reacting the way they're reacting, or that's why they're not reacting the way you think they should. To give people grace and realize that we don't know what people have been through. That's where I bring myself back to is, okay, well, I don't know. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know why they're saying that, acting that way, critical, whatever it happens to be. But give them grace and just realize it's them. They're probably going through something, and love them through it.
If people want to find out, because you have written another book and you have done so many things in your life that when I was reading about you, I was like, this woman, you coached a basketball team?
Yeah, I did.
And
I coached volleyball. Yeah.
You had several businesses, and your life is full of adventures and full of unique, beautiful adventures. So if people want to learn more about your book, Love Is, and second book, where can people find you? I will link down everything in the show notes. But if people are just listening, where can people find you? How do you bring value to them? What do you offer to them? Just tell me everything about you and your books, and where can people find your books?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty easy to find because I am literally the only Kim Sorrelle spelled my way in the entire world, because my last name is obnoxious. It has way too many letters. There are 2 R's, 2 E's, 2 L's, Sorrelle, Kim Sorrelle. But kimsorrelle.com is my website. There's a lot of information on my website. You can also get to my website, though, by typing in loveis.info. Loveis.info, a little bit easier to remember. But I have a free 14-day love challenge on my website. And it's just something to think about 14 days in a row. There's just a little something to think about love for 14 days. So it's a simple challenge. And if you sign up for the love challenge, I will send you for free WWLD, What Would Love Do wristband. Because if you can answer anything with what would love do, you're going to be doing things the right way. My books are available on all online booksellers. They're Amazon and whoever. Love is in brick and mortar stores as well. So Love is pretty easy to find. It's Big Love Is with a dark blue cover. So it's easy to find the book. It stands out. And I love to get in touch with people. I'm all over social media. I love hearing from people. And so I love reaching out in any way. So please feel free to contact me. Any questions, anything, I'm here.
Before I ask you my last question, which is to leave me, an audience, with a message, other than that, is there anything you really wanted to share? I just didn't get to ask you the question.
There's one of the phrases is love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. And I was dreading that month because I thought, well, gosh, you might forgive people, but you don't forget the things that happen to you. And when I figured that one out, it was one of the more significant ones. So yeah, you don't forget what happens to you, but it's your story. It's your story. It's how you are reading your story. So instead of, oh my gosh, this rotten cousin that did this horrible thing to me, it can just be, well, this thing happened and I learned from it and I grew because of it. So the narrative can change because it's your narrative. You pick the narrative to whatever happens to you in life. You choose the tone, you pick that. So when you can let go of bitterness and anger, and bitterness only hurts you anyway. Quite often you're mad at somebody, they don't even know you're mad at them. So it's only eating you up, right? It's only hurting you. And so when you can let go of that and change the tone of the things that have happened to you, change and realize what you've learned from it, realize that every experience is a growing experience, an opportunity for growth. And instead of hanging on to that, I can't believe they did that to me, let that go and say, well, this happened. Okay, this happened and I grew. That is so important, I believe, and an aspect of love that should be part of everybody's life.
If you could leave us with a message, it can be a movie, a quote, a book, someone else's advice, a story maybe from your childhood. It can be one sentence or simply a word, but something that is in your heart right now. What would it be?
Love everybody. Love everybody.
Kim, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom. And for a person who has been through so much that I don't even know your whole story. I just know the tiny, tiny part of your story. And to be diagnosed with cancer and you lost your husband for cancer, and to have all of this pain and not become bitter. And not only not become a bitter, you just found a way to almost transform your pain. And that is admirable. And I think, and I believe that takes some kind of inner fire or inner courage, and that I truly admire in you. And I just feel that courage and I love to take part of the energy from people, not from themselves, but if someone does something that I love, I'm like, how can I make it my own? And I can also do it. And when I was reading about it, I got so inspired. I was like, if she could do it, I could also do it with my own small problems. So thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for transforming your pain into wisdom and into love.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you for everything that you do. I love your podcast. You share so much and you're so transparent, and everybody should have your podcast on their top 10 podcast list, or way up at the top, and listen to your podcast all the time. You do a beautiful job, and you do a wonderful thing for people.
I received that. Thank you. And for the listeners, thank you for listening to us. And as always, have a phenomenal rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And until next time.